Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video it is going to be a big one because as you can see we received 4 boxes from Parabellum, so thanks to them again for sending us this so we can make some unboxing, Tactica and battle reports. We are going to check first of all as usual the unboxing, like what is literally inside, and then there will be a Tactica for each of them, both in Lost Arguments of King and for First Blood, so it might take a little bit of time but it's good. By advance, I apologize because when I record the unboxing part, so right now I am a bit sick, so I'm sorry if my voice is not very clear or if I cough. Now, without further ado, we'll start with the Dweghoms because we have one single box of Dweghoms and then we'll do all the city-states. So this is the Flame Berserkers box for the Dweghoms. We're very excited. We've seen Flame Berserkers before. We've seen them quite often, actually. And the cool thing is that it's a 50th anniversary rework, so those are brand new and they look much better for sure. And you can also build them, I think, as Magmaforged. It is supposed to be a dual kit. It's not written anywhere, but let's find out together if it is indeed a dual kit. So, okay, inside we find the usual stands and bases, all right. And we have some sprues of plastic. Let's not keep the suspense any longer. Let's have a look at the cards, and this way we'll know. Yes, there are cards for both the Flame Berserkers, the card is the same by the way, and the Magmaforged, so it means we can build both. Okay, some building instructions, always appreciated, and they are supposed to be quite easy, or they're a little bit transparent. We see the other side, might not be very convenient. There is a head that flew away. Happens as well. Oh, it's a Magmaforged head. Let's indeed first things first have a look at the sprues you get. This is like the command stand sprue. We have seen this kind of half sprue before. It's basically going to be your banner. There are 2 of them. Okay, probably one from the Magmaforged and one for the Flame Berserkers, even though like, come on, you can use both. This is probably the Magmaforged. And some command sets with bigger weapons, etc. for your surgeons. Okay, very well. And it's for both Magmaforged and Flame Berserkers. Great. I have to say I really appreciate the evolution in terms of design they've had with Dweghoms so far. Looking great. We continue with the 3 sprues that we have here, and it's going to be quite fast because as you can see they're exactly the same, so convenient. So those sprues, as we've said, make both Magmaforged and Flame Berserkers. I think you've got this by now. So there is going to be these new bodies, quite interesting looking, I have to say. They have those double-handed, no, two-handed, you have one weapon in each hand if you are Flame Berserkers, sorry, I lost my English, and if you are a Magmaforged, you have one of those huge two-handed axe. Okay, and of course the heads are going to be a bit different. Let's have a look if we can see some of them. Yeah, here the heavily armored one are going to be for the Magmaforged, and the burning ones, like here, are going to be for the Flame Berserkers. Not much to say here. There's basically the same style as they were before. It's just looking a little bit crisper, and I have to say I'm quite happy because they were some of my favorite units, and this is a good excuse to bring more of the Flame Berserkers. I have to say I didn't think I would receive this because I already received last month. Have you seen some Dweghoms with the Steel Shaper and the Stone Forged? So I already bought 2 boxes of this, so I'm gonna have 3 boxes of the Flame Berserkers. Do expect to see a lot of them in the upcoming battle reports. Okay, not much more to say about this. 3 times these sprues plus the command sprue. Great, let's switch to the city-states. So those 2 infantry units should not be multi-kits, like, unless I'm extremely mistaken, but I think those are unique units. So you cannot build Sacred Bands with the box of the Clockwork Hoplites and vice versa. We'll see very soon if I'm mistaken, but there are so many unique parts, I really don't see it being the case. Like, I don't think it's possible at all. And while I unbox this box, I would like to have your opinion because I had some members of the French community telling me that the unboxing part of my video was a little bit like less value and I could skip it entirely. I felt no, but I would like your opinion. The guy was saying like basically the main value of the videos, those videos, are the Tactica part, and I could just keep to that. But I thought like I received the boxes, I might as well show them to you. Yes, I don't build them, but I think it might, like, it's still interesting for you to see in the same video first the sprues and then using the little timeline to skip directly to the Tactica. let me know what you think. And by the way, if you want to see a TV channel, like a YouTube channel, with great pack shots of the built unpainted miniatures in 360, go to Iggy TV. I think I will put the link in the description, because he really makes great pack shots. There is no Tactica, so we complement each other quite well, but they're beautiful, beautiful pack shots of all the releases. Plus he gets literally all the Conquest releases, so you can see quite a lot of those. It's in French though, but if you're just here for the pictures, that's enough. Okay, so while I was talking, let me know in the comments what you think. And now let's have a look at those Clockwork Hoplites. The first thing that I will notice is that there are no command sprues. So is it 3 times the same? Just give me a second. Okay, so once again, we have 3 sprues exactly the same. So that's good. They optimize their sprues much better than before with Parabellum. We have 1 single card of the... Oh, damn, that looks good. And yeah, you cannot make the Sacred Band with the Clockwork Hoplites. Little building instructions that will again prove that indeed no multi-part options, so only like 1 made troops and the leader with a fancier helmet and shield. Especially the thing that I will say that the Clockwork Hoplites, I expected a lot from them, but I was like, yeah, they're gonna be a bit boring. They looked better than I thought, which is not what I'm gonna say about the Sacred Band. Yeah, let's have a look at those. Like just the heads, I think, make all the difference. First of all, the shields are great. I did not see that in the preview version, but let me zoom a bit. Yeah, the shields are looking really, really great. The spears are a bit basic, the same as for the Hoplite, it's okay. 1 special spear for the leader, the sergeant. If you want, like, you can have like 1 sergeant on every stand, if you'd like, because you should be able to do that. As always, it's always anyway just gonna be the stand in the center that is your sergeant. But if you want to have a little bit fancier units, you can. Funny thing, I didn't see that before. There's some parts where the details are on this side, and if I flip, it's on this side. I have 0 level of technicity in plastic injection, but I suppose it's quite hard to make it like this. Yeah, and why they didn't do it the other way around? That's a good question, but anyway. This is the brilliant sergeant, like leader shield, okay. And will we see the heads here? Yeah, there are the heads. So they look very much mechanical, those things. Reminds me a little bit, like, as you can see, of the TLAOKs for the Mechanicum in Horus Heresy. Also, there are some Drukhari that have this, like this very flat helmet. I always found it extremely cool, and when it's steampunk hoplites, it's even better. Very happy of the style. Cannot wait to see it painted. I'll give them to Yasant, and he will make them quite beautiful, and expect to see them in battle reports quite soon. Last of the big box that we'll cover is the Sacred Band, and I have mixed feelings about it. Like, really, I was expecting so much of them, and they are now this kind of like gladiators style, like mercenaries, elite troops. Okay, very well, but that's not how they were sold. They were sold as like basically Hoplites paladins, and I was like, yes, of course, yes. And they really don't look like this. Maybe it's on my side, like I was very mistaken to imagine them as classical paladins, but I did not imagine them with like animals, shoulders, and this kind of like very like ancient Greek style. I thought they would be a little bit more medieval. It's on me to have these more wrong expectations of what a Hoplite paladin would be, but there it is. I'm not a huge fan of the gladiator style, but let's have a look at the sprues. First of all, same deal as always, 3 sprues, exactly the same quality, the same number, no command sprue this time, because yeah, of course the city-states don't have banners, so that's why they don't have this. Let me zoom again. Great quality of injection once again, and I have to say it's even more detailed. Like, if you want to take your time painting those guys, you can really make something very beautiful there. They do have very stylish weapons. Each of them look very unique. Like, they are all kind of spears, but they are very customized, like this trident, and this one that is a little bit Eastern looking. They can have a lot of personality, and that's what you should go out of this video with, at least knowing about the Sacred Band. They are each of them little heroes, let's say. Like, they have their own story, their own weapon, their own armor. It's not because I don't like the style that you shouldn't like it at all. Like, I absolutely see why people would be crazy over those. It's just, well, the good thing is, like, I don't play city-states myself yet, and when I will, because I will not play them, but the quality of the plastic is brilliant as always. I have to say there might be even more detail and more capacity to make beautiful miniatures on those than on the Clockwork Hoplites, which are basically just robots. So it makes sense. Little building instruction, of course. And where is the card? I don't have the unit card. Maybe it got stuck somewhere. But okay, it's the first time it happened. Well, it's a live unboxing, so it makes sense that I would share it with you, but I don't have cards. Maybe it's a preview for the YouTubers and they sometimes make mistakes, but yeah, don't have one. Well, I'm sure that if this happens to you at home, just a little message to Parabellum and they will send it to you for sure. But here I have the video able to prove, like, really, there was no card in there. Okay, well, it happens. I do have the stand and everything, but no unit activation card. Oh well. I was hoping on the unit card to convince me that the sacred bands are a super cool concept. Well, it will have to wait a little bit. And the very last box, but not least, or maybe least, but just one guy, but he looks cool, that we're going to unbox today, the Andromachos, which is going to be in resin, is of course for the city-states as well. The pose looks great. Let's have a look. I'm getting mad. There are no cards, but yeah, of course it's an officer. Okay, 5 different resin bits. First one, the main body in one sculpt. We like when it's just one big block. Yeah, very cool looking armor. I like the little technological area here with the spine and little energy. I think you can make some exhaust energy like OSL effect there. Might look very, very fancy. The 2 weapons, a little bit of flash, but nothing you cannot clean, either by hand, either with a toothbrush. Little sword pointed towards the enemy, big sword here. Okay, so okay, this is the big sword and this is the little sword. Okay, they're actually kind of similar in size. And of course the head, nice level of detail there, a little bit of flash again. He looks great as a drilled sergeant for the city-states. All right, that's it for the unboxing part. Let's go for the Tactica part, and if you leave us here all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, etc., and especially leave us a comment because you gain a chance to win either a Dystopian Wars Armada if you see this video early enough, or the next game to win is going to be either Dystopian Wars, either Conquest. So for sure, give us a comment. Okay, let's get going for the Tactica. As always, we're going to first cover the Lost Argument of Kings, and then we're going to make the same for the variants in First Bloods. We're going to cover further the Dweghoms, the 2 infantry variants, and then the city-states, first the officer, and then the 2 infantry units. One thing to note is that for Lost Argument of Kings, the latest army list have been updated in April and May, so it starts to be a little bit old, so maybe there might be a change at some point, maybe not. And for First Blood, it's much more recent. It's in July for the Dweghoms and in August for the city-states, so much more recent, so less chances that there will be a change in the future. With that being said, we start with the Lost Arguments of Kings, so the mass battle version, with the Flame Berserkers. Those are the units that we already knew, because this, as we've said, is a new updated sculpt for the 5th anniversary of Conquest. What do those guys bring? We've known them for a while, and the first thing that we need to point out is that there is only one character that can bring them. That's it, the Ardent Caraway. And for him, these guys are mainstay. So it's quite interesting, like their focus. The Dweghoms are the faction with the less characters available, if you don't count the mountain version as different versions, because you have to bail Relic anyway. And this is interesting because they're very focused in the single character that you don't always want to bring. The Ardent Caraway brings a lot. We were not going to deep dive on him specifically, but if he's your warlord, your army is going to be more resilient to battle shock and like to being broken, okay, and they might be faster and charge better at some point. All right. There's few things that the Flame Berserkers do really well. Number one, they're a light regiment, very expensive, yes, at 170 points, all right, but they're light, so they can come turn 1 if you want so. They are also resilient-ish, like they have only defense 3, which is not insane for the Dweghoms, especially since they have no hard and no nothing, but they have resolve 5, which is insane. So those guys are not going anywhere anytime soon. They are light, they have also movement 6, very good for the Dweghoms in general, but it's in the theme of the Ardent Caraway, and it means that very early, on top of that, if you buy them a standard bearer, which I would do almost all the time, these guys can really jump far. Like turn 1, turn 2, you make double march, they can be very far and start to contest the objectives very early. Contest, but also capture, because as you know, light cannot capture, okay? There's been a little update some months ago where the characters, even if they're medium or heavy, they don't allow the regiment to capture. This is what Flame Berserker used to like to do with Ardent Caraway. It's not possible anymore, but the Ardent Caraway has a spell called Rancor, which gives +2 stance for the purpose of seizing objective zones, as you can see. It's a spell at 3, scaling, which means you might not want to scale up the Flame Berserkers too much, probably if you want to use this strategy. But it means that your Flame Berserkers, technically, they could even, like, I know you cannot capture turn 1, but in theory, you can smash them forward very fast, turn 1, turn 2, and start to capture right away. Because first they move, and then you activate the Ardent Kawa, send the spells, your light unit, that is their turn 1, can now capture objectives. Incredibly efficient. So as we've said, a little bit expensive at 170 points, but those guys do work. Like, they do a lot of work. They have 6 attacks. Yes, you heard that right. 6 attacks each stand, which is amazing. And they have Clash 3, which means that you're gonna punch at Clash 4. It's really, really good. And they don't die that easily with the Defense 3. And on top of all that, they have Aura of Death 2, which of course you can boost if you have an Ardent Caraway. You're gonna take the little 10 points relic to boost that to Aura of Death 3. Love it. Absolutely insane. Makes me sometimes want to make a huge pack of Flame Berserkers. Would be efficient. Yes, but then you need to balance the need of having a small pack to not risk failing the spell of Rancor. It is very important. And on the other side, you want to boost them as well to have a huge block. Like I would love to have a block of like 6 stands, 5 of Flame Berserkers and the Ardent Caraway, just pushing forward with all the boosts you can give them in defense and stuff. Can be insane. Maybe works a bit better actually with Magmaforged, we'll see in a second. It does make you want to have this huge threat turn 1, kind of like the big Praetorian Guard block that the old Dominion can bring if they want to. Overall, it's a great unit, lovely unit. You cannot have more than 2 regiments of Flame Berserkers, because you could spam technically 4 times the regiment of Flame Berserkers if there was not this restriction, since they are mainstay. Would you want to do that? I don't know, because the Flame Berserkers really enjoy having the Ardent Caraway inside to be able to capture objectives, and then to have Aura of Death 3. You could spam them, I guess, if they are light and have a lot of units, of MSU units very fast. Would they be so efficient that you absolutely need to have this rule? I'm not sure. Anyway, Ardent Caraway, great unit, great mainstay, the Flame Berserkers, and I would say in most competitive Dweghoms lists, at least that I build, but I'm not pro player either, I always try to sneak in 1 Ardent Caraway and 1 pack of 3 Flame Berserkers, just because that's what I bring turn 1. I bring them turn 1, double march with a standard banner, and then I sit on an objective. I tell the guy, come closer, because if you get close enough, I will charge you and punch you with 18 attacks and you're gonna die, 19. And if you try to shoot at me or something and it's really too annoying, well, then I can move charge you. I'm still gonna be Aura of Death like 9 or 10 with all the stands that I have in total, and then I'm gonna punch you very hard, because Aura of Death 10, let's say, no scouting unit, like little light unit of other factions, will enjoy having that at all. And of course, 20 attacks plus the Ardent Kawa, it's gonna wipe out basically any small scale unit that are in the game, like light scouts and stuff. So amazing unit. Now the new unit, the Magmaforged. Who are they? What are they? They're medium, more expensive, and a little bit tougher Flame Berserkers. That's what they are. Okay, next unit. I'm kidding. Let's talk a little bit more. They are not they have very different role. Like there are a few changes, but that really solidifies their role. They're slower, movement 5, so they take more time to come. And they have less attack, 1 less attack 5 instead of 6. Also, one thing important, they are restricted, so not mainstay anymore, but it means you can combo them easily with the Ardent Caraway. And the Tempered Steel Shaper can have them as well, important thing. So they are not restricted only to the Ardent Caraway. What do they gain in exchange of all this? They gain Defense 4, really good, really good. And they gain Lethal Demise, which means that not only they have Aura of Death, but on top of that, when they die, they will inflict automatic hits on the enemy.
amazing, amazing. This gives them a little bit different role. They are not there to capture objective and be an early game threat. They're really there for the mid and late game, where you want to have them, probably a big pack of them, that's what I would say, and you want to boost them a lot to do a lot of damage on even the big hitters of your enemy. Their big weakness is that they have no cleave at all. Like, if your enemy has defense 5, okay, it doesn't exist anymore almost in the game, but even defense 4, you're gonna bounce off of them. Like, they are bullying so hard units that are defense 2 or 3, but even 3 starts to be difficult, but defense 4 or defense 5, even if you manage, those guys are not gonna do anything. They have 0 cleave, and they have even less attack than the Flame Berserkers. What they are excelling at is that just holding the center in a bit different way from the Thanes or the Dragon Slayer and everything. Like, those guys have no hardened, so more vulnerable to the cleave, but between Aura of Death and Lethal Demise, they can really choose their way of engagement because they don't mind that much just move charging something. That is one of the reasons why the Magmaforged have actually a standard bearer that is a little bit more expensive at 15 points than the Flame Berserkers, because it's really, really important for them to reroll charges and to be a little bit faster, because again, you will do a lot of charges, a lot of double moves, because those guys come a bit later, they're medium, and they really want to make sure they are in contact with the enemy. Of course, if they can make their attack, it's gonna be like, what, 16 attacks at Clash 4 being inspired. Again, no cleave, but that is still very good. But they have great firepower with an embarked Flaming Oratory Ardent Caraway. Flaming Oratory is an artifact, I'll tell you in a second. They have great impact just from Aura of Death and Lethal Demise. And yeah, Flaming Oratory, it's 30 points, expensive for sure. But if you want to make a big pack of Magmaforged, and my opinion is even a small pack of Magmaforged, this will make these guys very annoying to deal with. Except if your enemy has like Cleave 3 or something. In this case, don't send them, send your whole things or whoever has hardened 2, 3 against those guys. But if you give them Tenacious through this Flaming Oratory, they will be defense 4, resolve 5, and the first failed defense roll is cancelled. Like, whenever, like, it can be a few times around. Someone shoots at you, first defense roll, forget. Then they charge and punch you, okay, again, it works. Then you activate and they have Aura of Death, for example, themselves. Well, first Aura of Death failed, you are immune thanks to this. It gives you so much resilience on your little pack that has like 15 wounds, and if you have a big Caraway again with Flaming Oratory and this Memory of Breath that gives you +1 Aura of Death, I think 5 Magmaforged, even 6 in a big line can really be the center of your list in a list led by an Ardent Caraway, or maybe even just with an Ardent Caraway somewhere. The last thing that I want to say about those guys is that they are restricted to the Tempered Steel Shaper, which in theory is great. Love that the Tempered Steel Shaper can get them, especially if you put a Steel Shaper on foot in those guys. He makes the spell to give -1 defense. It combos incredibly well with Aura of Death 2 or 3 and Lethal Demise as well. It can be insane. However, the Steel Shaper has a very crowded, restricted list, because he has Magmaforged, but he also has Stoneforged, which is basically, for me now, it's auto-include whenever I build a Steel Shaper. And he has Steel Forged as well, which, again, amazing unit. So there are Magmaforged there as well. It combos well with Steel Shapers. Will you have the place in your list to add them? This I'm not sure. Alright, we switch now to the city-states for Lost Arguments of King. We start with the Andromachos, which is an officer, first of all, 25 points, and it can go into Agemas or Thorakites. What does it give? +2 to the attack characteristic of the command stand. Always nice, we always like it. And the very powerful thing is that if this regiment activates from the strategic stack, good, it can be done, like this is really in the control of the city-state player, then they gain flurry until the end of the round, and they specify it includes character stands and any auxiliary. This is very strong. 25 points though. You want probably one Andromachos, like there is one unit where you know you will have this guy. It will be either. Like Agemas, we know that you can make a big pack of Agemas, which have cleave 1 if I remember, with a great character in there, Polemarch, geared for combat. They're gonna have +2 attacks on the Agemas, great. Your character and your... I think the Polemarch already has Flurry in, but anyway, your Agemas and Polemarch and everybody getting Flurry is insane, but you can also think, I can put this guy in a pack of Thorakites with the Minotaur, with the giant hammer, and then the Thorakites and the Minotaur with the hammer getting Flurry is brilliant, like you love this. And the Thorakites are light as well, so you can really put a lot of pressure very early, because Thorakites with Minotaur is already sure to basically obliterate any light unit in the game. Even the Flame Berserkers are really scared of those guys. But if you start to add this guy for +2 attacks and Flurry, you can really punch into medium or even heavy units. So brilliant unit, the Andromachos on Last Argument of King. Not a unit, officer. At a minimum scale of 3 stands without auxiliary, without character, maybe not. But if you put an Andromachos, and I think you really want to, you start to build a unit for this. Agemas with characters, maybe like, or Thorakites with Minotaurs, and then he really has his place. Plus, as we've said, the pose is really cool. Then the first box that we've seen for the city-states in the unboxing was the Clockwork Hoplites. I will not go again on how cool those guys look. How do you play them? They are heavy, which is sad, but they have a lot for them. They are 190 points, so expensive, but could be worse. And they have no resolve. They're basically like the old Dominion in the sense like they don't take resolve tests. You can see this from the automaton rule right there. It explains like basically this. They can be broken and shattered, but they don't take resolve, which is insane for their durability. That's not all. They have defense 3 base, support everything, hardened 1 and phalanx. So if you charge them from the front between hardened 1, phalanx, having great defense and great resolve as well, they are basically unmovable, and they have 5 wounds like Dweghoms. I'm telling you, those guys in an army of Dweghoms would have nothing to be ashamed of, because they are extremely tanky, especially from the front. So you love that for them. They also have inbuilt Flurry, okay, which they will need because they're Clash 2 base. They have Cleave 1 and Support 2, so you can really make a huge pack of those guys. They're gonna punch very hard from the front, like with the Support and Cleave and Flurry, insane. 4 attack each, and they're also very tanky. So where is the trick? Well, the trick is that they're not very fast, movement 5, we know it's slow, but again, they're basically Dwegom units at this point, and they're heavy. But there's something that is very interesting, is that if an Eidolon or a Mechanist are your warlords, first of all, you're gonna have a place to have Clockwork Hoplites because they are mainstay for both of those characters and only those characters. And if it's your warlord, they become medium, not heavy anymore, so they can come earlier. That is great. But that's not all. They have a special rule on top of making them medium, that whenever a friendly regiment is activated from the strategy stack, that regiment gets hardened +1 and gets march -1. That means that those guys, of course they will want to go fast to the front, but being medium it can be easier. And it means once they get where they want to be, they're gonna be functionally defense 4, hardened 2 from the front, no resolve, basically unkillable. Like there is nothing more I can say than this. Defense 4, hardened 2, no resolve. You can spend the whole game punching at them and they will not die in 5 wounds. Those guys are your tanky frontline for the city-states, bar none. Like, they are a bit expensive, but they will not move. Plus, there is an upgrade that you can get for your character that gets inside, so specifically your Mechanist then. And then it means that the Clockwork Hoplite regiment that the Mechanist is going to be inside gains +1 to the march, so march 6, great, and double time draw event. So then it basically means that your Clockworks are just gonna go super fast up the board, like really fast for something that is by base movement 5, and it's just gonna be right there. So the main way I see the Clockwork Hoplites being used is either a pack of 3 to really secure flank, being very tough, just 3 of them, no boost, no nothing. If you have another warlord like a Polemarch or something, they can really be a cheap way to secure flank, be careful because they really, well, all city-states really hate being taken from the flank themselves. Or you have a Mechanist Warlord, you put this Mechanist in a pack of Clockwork Hoplites, and at this point I think you want, I don't know, 6 stands, 9 stands of Hoplites? I think 9 stands of Hoplites and Mechanist in the front makes 2 lines of 5, and it's a lot of points. Yes, it's basically at this point like 1/3 of your list at 2000 points. But damn, this thing is just unkillable. You will stand the center, then you just make some units on the flanks to make sure you don't get flank charged, and you will just hold the center and nothing will make you move at all, ever. So that's how I would see the Clockwork Hoplites. Great looking units, and I love how they play. We continue with the Sacred Band, and those guys have changed a lot. Again, they were basically Paladins before. How do they play now? Well, they're 200 points, so even more expensive than the Clockwork Hoplites. They are medium base, okay. They have good stat lines. They have 4 wounds only, okay, sure. Movement 5, difficult. Defense 3, resolve 3. But they have phalanx, so again, good defense from the front, but they are not completely immune. They don't have hardened, they don't have immunity to morale, so dies faster. They do have blessed, which is like basically a full reroll either to attack or to defense once per turn. Probably you will want to use it in defense, most of the time that's how you use it. And they have devote, so it helps them to send spells on themselves, which is probably what you will want to do. So they're more expensive. What do they gain more? Well, as we've said, they're priests, let's say. Let's stop calling them paladins, they're priests. And they have priest 4, they can send it on themselves. Luckily they are devout because priest 4, you're not sure to make everything work at all. And they can either heal themselves, 1 wound per success. Okay, so you need at least 2, but probably you will work. So it can help them to make a stand comeback, probably once per turn. Can make them worthwhile in a big pack of like 5 stands, 6 stands, and having a very good chance to resurrect a stand each time they send a spell. Okay. And they have also Othimos, which makes them lose Blessed, okay? But then you basically gain the benefits of Blessed, like rerolling failed defense rolls, for the entire round, so until the end, okay, great. And it also now includes Morale Test. So you give up the ability to just boosting your attack, which is something you don't want to do anyway, but then you roll all failed defenses and all failed morals, and your command stand count as 3 stands more for seizing objectives. So you probably want to send Othimos most of the time until you start to have lots of losses, and then either you're still in big combat and okay, you want Othimos again, or you want to resurrect a stand and you use Molon Lave. If you take a big pack of Sacred Bands, which are tremendously expensive, I think every single time you want a Seer, which gives them +1 to their resolve, so resolve 4, actually makes a difference. So just for this, it's good. And then also give them Indomitable, so again, Indomitable, like, again, boosts their resilience, and Priest +1. So makes you heal more reliably and more, and make sure that when you need Othimos to go, that it will work. So for me, Seer is basically auto-include. Those guys are not mainstay at all. They are restricted to both the Polymarch, which can go inside, maybe once, gonna look amazing, or in the Hipparchos. I'm not sure I like those guys. Again, well, maybe it's just the appearance, but when I compare them to the Clockwork Hoplites, they don't stand very well the comparison, like, at all. And even when I compare them with other units, like the cheaper Hoplites, the basic ones, do they do a lot more? They have a lot of funky rules. I love that they are priests. They're going to be very fun to play. When you gain, basically, when you put Othimos, it's great. Having a Seer and a healing, amazing. Very fun unit to play. In a competitive setting, I'm not sure they are so good. Maybe they'll get a point reduction, or maybe there is something I don't see in them. Maybe give me a comment if I'm missing something. Getting this unit instead of another one, I don't see it. It's never going to be a bad choice to buy it and to play it, because it's going to be fun. But if you have a choice and you want to make tournaments, because tournaments are getting developed in Last Tournament of Kings, I'm not sure that's my first choice. Still, they look good. Okay, that was for the Last Arguments of King. Let's make the same thing for First Blood, and it's going to be much faster, because, well, First Blood has less rules and everything. You can see it from the Flame Berserkers. It's the skirmish version. Flame Berserkers are 110 points. Let's remember that it's 1000 points, the default point value for tournaments. Cheap-ish. They have 1 attack per guy, which is not great at all. Defense 3, resolve 5. Okay, good. 2 wounds, basic for infantry, and clash 3. The two things I want to say that they have Aura of Death 4, which can really bully enemy units. Aura of Death has changed for First Blood, and now you don't count like model per model, but like if your Flame Berserkers are in contact with the enemy, then the entire enemy regiment will take 4 hits. Still, it's basically more than your literal punching power, so you really take them for the Aura of Death. I am not sure, like they play very differently, they're more tanky than they look, especially with a good resolve. And if you start to punch them, thanks to the special rule of the Dweghoms in First Blood, they will punch harder once one of those guys die. So you maybe want them in a like bigger squad, not just 4, but maybe you want 6, 8 of them. 12 starts to be a lot, but then you get a Center Bearer. That's a lot. But it's not a bad idea to have a big pack of Flame Berserkers. There is unfortunately not the Ardent Karawa that boosts them a lot. Ardent Karawa boosts other guys in First Blood, Initiates, Wardens, but not specifically the Berserkers. And they're good units for everyone. You want them in a bigger pack. You want to throw them at the enemy, trigger Aura of Death, probably, and then when the enemy punches back and kill one of your guys, you're gonna punch much harder at your turn. They have Flurry, so their big weakness is only one attack, which is a weakness that most of the Dweghoms share. But once you start to be angry by the death of your colleagues, having some guys that punch at Clash 4 Flurry, and if they start to have 2 attacks per head, that start to be really good. Then we go to the Magmaforged, which are overpriced. They are 210 points for 4 guys. What do they gain? Well, they basically gain an extra attack, and that's it. I exaggerate, they are defense 4 now, but they go down from resolve 5 to resolve 4. Still only 2 wounds, which is low, same clash, same movement. Only a second attack base, okay. Aura of Death 4, the same. Molten Aura, which means that enemies in command range of this regiment rerolls defense rolls of 1. Always good, especially when you trigger Aura of Death, Lethal Demise, which is good for them. It's also one of their boosts. Okay, they do have bonuses. Is it worth paying basically double the cost? Very close to double the cost of Flame Berserkers? Not sure. Do I prefer 4 Magmaforged or 8 Flame Berserkers? I prefer 8 Flame Berserkers by far. Like every day of the week. And same, like 6 Magmaforged or 12 Flame Berserkers with a standard barrier, it's gonna be difficult. So they're a premium version of the Flame Berserkers, and that's basically exactly what they are. They're more expensive, a little bit stronger, let's say it's a little bit, but they're not worth twice the price, for sure. Like, in my opinion, no. Let me know in the comments what you think, but for now I think they are severely overpriced. Like, Dweghoms in First Blood, unfortunately, have some very strong units and some very weak units. Magmaforged is not very weak, but they're overpriced. Like, 2 attacks at Clash 4, Aura of Death 4, Molten Aura, Lethal Demise, all of this is good. But 210 points? Damn. Like, compare what other factions get for this point. And yeah, okay, buy 12 Magmaforged, one of them dies, and then they have 3 attacks each at Clash 4 when they're gonna be inspired. But no cleave, nothing, no flurry. It's very, very much overpriced, and if you have 12 of those, that's basically like half your list, just on those guys. No, I'm not convinced at all. They're great in Last Argument of King, but not in First Blood. The Andromachos, the officer, in First Blood, well, I like all the officers, he's amazing. He can go with all those units, so Agemas, Thorakites, Hoplites, and Phalangites is 50 points, but for what you get, he does a lot. He's not a tank, defense 2, resolve 3, 4 wounds, he will die if he gets attacked. But, first of all, he has 5 attacks, Clash 3, so it's going to be 4 when inspired at Cleave 1. It's already good. And his special rule is that enemies in the engagement range of this guy do not count towards seizing objective. So great at objective play. And on top of that starts to be really good. When he attacks enemy infantry models, he gains Flurry. All the time, for free. So 5 attacks, Clash 4, Flurry, Cleave 1, for 50 points. This guy costs the same as the Magmaforged, which is it's not a good comparison because officers are underpriced. Basically, if you want a little tip building thing for First Blood, take all the escorts for your leader that you can, they are underpriced, and all the officers you can. And that's very good. Of course, the Andromachos is very strong. Whenever you have one of the unit of Agemas, like that's all those guys, if you have Andromachos miniature, you play him. except if you want another officer. That's the only situation when I don't see you putting an Andromachos. And we'll see another officer that is very good, and it's a little surprise. The Clockwork Hoplites that were so good in Lost Arguments of King. Are they good now in First Blood? Well, good news, yes. They have defense 3 with a shield, which means that you don't even need to be worried like, oh, what if they get flanked? No, they're going to be defense 4 without resolve. 2 wounds each, okay? But still, it's great. They don't have a hardened anymore because that would be too strong, right? And that's it. From the base, that's how they are. They have only 1 attack each with support rule, okay? Cleave 1, Clash 3, okay, still good. 150 points for 4 of them, so much cheaper than Magmaforged, for example, barely more expensive than Flame Berserkers. Thing is, those guys that are very tough and punch okay can get even tougher. First of all, they have this special rule, Children of the Forge, which means that when a Mechanist targets this regiment, because of course Mechanist likes his Clockwork Hoplites, when it targets them, they get inspired. That is good because, well, actually you're right. Automatons cannot be inspired without special tricks. There are some artifacts in Lost Arguments of King that allows them, but with First Blood, you need this Mechanist to give them a command, which you will want to do. I put the list right under. Okay, they will get inspired, which helps them because only 1 attack, again, very sad, but they're not a DPS unit. But when they hit with Cleave 1, it's gonna pain. Little reminder, Carrier of the Godflesh is from the Mechanist. So what does it say? It says that when a friendly regiment activates from the command stack, again, this guy, the Mechanist, the regiment that will activate, probably the Clockwork Hoplites, will get hardened 1 and reduce the march by 1. So sad, but there are ways to compensate. And the Clockwork regiments in your army always count as if they have activated from the strategic stack, which means that you don't even, like, this bonus that I just said will be good for, I don't know, your normal Hoplites or any unit basically that you may have. You might have some Inquisitors, whatever, they can have this boost, but your Clockwork Hoplites will always have -1 march, so they go from March 6 to March 5, which is not that slow, like, okay, it's slower but fine. And they will always, when they activate, gain hardened 1. So defense 4 with the shield, hardened 1, no resolve, I promise you it's tough. And the 2 commands that you can give to them is mobility, which what you will want in the beginning, because especially if you have this warlord that gives them -1 movement, because mobility command gives them -1 defense and they lose phalanx and shield. So really, like, it's quite bad because they will go to defense 2 without shield, so basically just defense 2. Maybe with hardened 1, okay, but still very low. But they gain +3 march, so it compensates. They will go from 5 to 8. Good in the first round when you don't get shot too much, but don't do it too often. Then you're gonna be in the middle of the map, great. Then you're gonna give them the command resist, how to pronounce it in English, resist. And then they're gonna have everything. They're gonna be defense 4 with a shield, hardened 1, tenacious, no resolve. Tenacious meaning you ignore the first failed defense roll. Those guys are just basically gonna be unkillable. You're gonna make a big pack, maybe of 12 of them. It's not that expensive, and the enemy is just not gonna kill them. Like, that's it. You're gonna have some flankers around and stuff. Those guys, again, same as the Last Argument of King, they go in the middle, and they stay there, and they don't die. Same concept, same combo with the Mechanist, and same love. Like, I love those guys. And final unit that we'll cover for today, the Sacred Band for First Blood. And the thing that is extremely interesting is that those guys are elite. Okay, we understand them. It's represented by them having a very good profile, but also you can take one model of the Sacred Band and use it as an officer for Agemas, Thorakites, and Hoplites for 30 points. This is an incredible concept. I really love this, and again, they can be one of the reasons you don't want to put an Andromachos, but damn, it means that you buy 1 box of Sacred Band, you're gonna have 12 models. It's fine for Lost Arguments of Kings, but for First Blood, it means you have so many models. If you don't want to play the Sacred Band, you're gonna be able to put officers for every single of your Agema, Thorakites, and Hoplites regiments all the time, and you will have the models for that. And since they are only 30 points and they do a lot of work, They're great as officers. I will actually start with the officers because that's what I think is most important with them, most interesting. They're gonna be defense 3 hardened 1 base, fearless, resolve 4, 4 wounds for the officer, 3 attacks only, a little bit less than the Andromachos, but clash 3 the same, but cleave 2 for 30 points, much cheaper than the Andromachos. Those guys are insane. Like, I love them for 30 points. They do so much, and you can put them in so many units, and you have so many models to choose from. If you don't put a pack of Sacred Bands on First Blood, or even if you do, you should have 4 or 5 models still left to put around, and every day of the week put them in every single of your regiments that does not need another officer. They do so much, they're so good, and they're gonna be little heroes left and right, leading your soldiers like Greek heroes of ancient times. Brilliant concept. The first time I see a unit where you can just take a model and use it as an officer, hopefully we'll see it later, maybe with the Order Knights for the 100 Kingdoms. Hopefully it will be something like this. But yeah, that's just what I love. If you use them as a unit, they're a little bit more, less overwhelming. They're 170 points for 4 guys, and then plus 40 points per model. But again, it's a unit, not officers, so they're more expensive because it's the core of your army, okay. They have still defense 3, resolve 4, and fearless, still the same. Hardened 1, cleave 2, still very good. You will notice that the hardened 1, the number is not in basket for some reason, whatever happened. 2 wounds only, and 1 attack each of them. Again, quite low, and they're not DPS, I understand, but yeah, a bit sad. They are again priest 5 actually, a bit better, and they have 2 spells, Vigor, that allows themselves to reroll failed morales of 6, it's okay, and then Prostagma, which I learned how to pronounce it from Age of Mythology, like all of you probably, and it allows them to heal a single wound and from the beginning, from casting it, and then every 2 success gives you another wound. So you would need to be quite lucky to be able to resurrect 2 guys with this, but you're basically guaranteed to resurrect at least 1. Do note that in First Blood they do not have Devout. They are a fine unit, 170 points for some guys that defense 3 hardened 1, that can heal themselves 2 wounds. It's okay, it's quite good. They are not super punchy, but again you have other punchy units in First Blood, and they're not as tough as Clockwork Hoplites, but they are much more independent. While the Clockwork Hoplites, you want a big unit of them led by a mechanist, and it's in the fluff, love it. Those guys are much more independent. And again, if you don't use them as a big unit, which probably you don't want to put a big unit of 12 Sacred Band, probably not, then use the extra models as officers. Okay, that is going to be it for today. That was a long video, but I announced it in the beginning. Like, there was a lot of units to cover. Again, thanks to Parabellum for sending us all of this to cover, to make the unboxing, the Tacticas and everything. You will of course see those guys soon-ish, like we have a lot of miniatures now, like different armies, so we need to get them painted and then on the battle report, but they will be there soon. We are going to make a battle report for a French TV channel called IGTV. By the end of the year it should be published, and it's going to be a large 2v2 battle, and you will see Magmaforged and City States and probably those Clockwork Hoplites, but it's in French. But still, be sure that I will post it and talk about it, and probably put a link whenever it is out. If you want to buy any of those units, and you can do that directly from the Parabellum website, and you get 10% if you use the code LOVE10, and thank you very much if you do that, because really it makes a huge difference for the channel, and it allows us to invest more in painting and everything. I see that more and more of you are using this code, and thank you very much. We are hearing you loud and clear, and we will increase the production of Conquest content because you guys are really excited about this game, and then so are we. It's a great game. So expect more First Blood and Lost Argument of King very soon on the channel. I'm talking about battle reports, of course, and all the Tacticas and everything. More and more are coming. Take care of yourself. Give us a little comment, because you can win a Dystopian Wars fleet. There are 2 fleets in game. Give us a comment as well if you have any question about the game. It will be our pleasure to answer. If you have ideas on what we've said, if you agree with our tactics, or if you have your own ideas on the units that you would like to share, maybe we missed something, it's possible. Until the next video, take care of yourself, and remember to keep things fair in love and war games. Bye!